speaking of deadbeat David Eason, why don't we go ahead and talk about that divorce? Shout out to the Ashley's Reality Roundup for getting some more intel as to the division of assets in the Eason household. So as we already knew, or I should say as previously reported by the Ashley, Jenelle got to keep the house and the land surrounding the house. David got other miscellaneous plots of land that they have. And then after that, she got to keep some cars. He got to keep some cars and some other vehicles. I think she got to keep an ATV. What else? She got to keep her she shed. He got to keep his, his own personal he shed, I guess you can call it. And she also had to pay him $30,000 cash that she must pay in at least $5,000 monthly installments as well, right? So on top of that, Jenelle is solely responsible for paying off the tax debt that she and David have in owing to the North Carolina Department of Revenue, which is about $40,000. And because she got to keep the house, she's responsible for the rest of the mortgage, which is $139,000, which I don't understand because that house was purchased a very long time ago, and I don't remember it being so expensive. So I kind of get the impression that maybe they were taking out mortgages and loans against the equity of the home, and that's why they still owe so much despite getting it for so cheap so long ago, which, maybe that's how they got the boats. Maybe that's how they got the ATVs and different things like that. So, by the way, the value of the house, according to the Ashley's court filings, is about $388,000, which I'm actually quite impressed by because, again, like the plot of land didn't seem that great. It already started sinking very early on after they had placed the land on the house on the plot of land. But you know what? Very interesting stuff. I guess it was a good investment overall. And so North Carolina, which is where they got married and divorced, is not a 50-50 state, but they do try to follow a certain principle of equitable distribution. And so the two of these people worked things out in mediation. And again, Jenelle owes David about $33,000 that she's going to have to start paying out, or she already had started paying out as of the first of this month. So there you go, David. Listen, squatting on that boat paid off. Sticking with this chick for, 6, 7, 8 years or whatever, paid off because now you have made a pretty penny. He went into that relationship with nothing. He walks away with $33,000 cash, plot of land that he didn't have to pay for, vehicles he didn't have to pay for, guns he didn't have to pay for. Mind you, David is not even supposed to have guns and ammo right now because of the restraining order that Jenelle has against him, which is very fascinating. More info on that over on the Ashley's Reality Roundup. But overall, very, very screwed judgment for Jenelle. But here's the thing. David was, as far as I'm aware, or as far as my opinion goes, he was the primary caretaker of these children, right? Like, did he put care into these children? Not necessarily. However, he was the one primarily responsible for them throughout the duration of their relationship. And so it does make sense that he gets to walk away with a certain amount of money, right? Because anybody who primarily takes care of the children should be compensated for that work, right? So he was technically a stay-at-home dad. Right. So there's that. But Jenelle, girl, how could you? Right. I think it's one thing to get a guy with marketable skills, with a certain level of, education or curiosity about the world, and then have him stay home and raise your kids. But to get this guy who just is just such a hateful, just toxic person with really of all the guys that you could have pulled, and I don't think she could have pulled that, much better or anything like that. But I don't know. I still do not get it. Why this guy of all guys, right? Ronnie says, did you see the video where she was on the quad and said you didn't get everything? Yes, I did. So what Ronnie's referring to is a TikTok video that Jenelle posted where she's nah, boo-boo, you didn't get everything. And so she hops onto the quad with Tori in the back, and they jet off, essentially. Raven says the kids are better with Jenelle than abusive deadbeat David. Men date too, but she should only date if she finds someone great, in my opinion. And I agree. But again, I do not know that Jenelle can pull someone who is a great person just because of where she's still at in her life, right? And her history as well. I think it's going to be really tough. I think she needs intense therapy. But the problem with Jenelle is that she doesn't think there's anything wrong with her, right? And so that's not an avenue that she's willing to explore. And it's funny because I am reading her book or her memoir, for my channel members. And the last chapter that we read just a couple days ago was her talking about how this guy that she was in love with, that she lost her virginity to, his name was William. He had to dump her because she was like already psycho at like 14 years old. She was like telling him all these things, you know, trigger warning, by the way, about how she wanted to like delete herself, like for fun or what, like, you know, she's just very unwell, you know. Winnie the Cat says, I don't agree with the taxes. That should have been split down the middle. And I completely agree as well. Why is it that this man gets to rack up tax debt and walk away scot-free? That ain't fair. Shelby says he gets to lay hands on the whole family and she still has to give him money. She's making on OnlyFans every month. Make it make sense. And that's another thing that I am kind of curious about in law. I don't know if any of you guys are legals, but why is it that DV is not grounds for automatic disqualification when it comes to assets, alimony, things like that, right? I kind of feel like if you have been proven to be ABUSIVE to your spouse, there's no way that your spouse should ever be obligated to pay you any kind of money in a divorce. Melinda says, I agree with Winnie. It's crazy they didn't split the taxes owed, right? Yeah, it's very weird. Listen, and it's crazy because David like was really scrambling to even get a lawyer. Like this guy, like he doesn't have the money for a lawyer, yet somehow he got better lawyers than Janelle and all the OnlyFans and T-Mom money that she has. It's crazy. It's mind-blowing. It truly, truly is. Winnie the Cat says she's basically going to be paying herself child support and paying for David's lawyers. And that's the gag. David is so behind on child support. So why does she even have to give him the $33K? Why not take this out of the child support that he already owes for Ensley? You know what I mean? Because I imagine he already owes around that much, if not more. Right. And again, when it comes to the weapons and stuff, why does David get the weapons when David is not even allowed to have weapons due to an active restraining order against him? What the F? Raven also says, why does Janelle have to pay all of that and the rest of their debt and house and pay him all of that? Yeah, I don't get it. He got all those cars. Exactly. Where the hell did she find this lawyer? Is it an actual lawyer? Because this is insane. Gwen says, my house is worth about the same now. But it's over 80 years old and I own only one acre. Oh, excuse me, girl. Only 1 acre. That's crazy. That's massive. A property. Isn't the land a pretty sizable chunk of swamp? That's the thing that I don't get, right? Like it is a swamp. So how is it worth so much? Listen, lucky for them, right? That it appreciated, but damn. PE says she lost bad, $132K loan, $40K taxes, $30K to David, and attorney's fees, boats, vehicles, etc., just to pretend to win by keeping that nasty trailer. I honestly, like, she needs to sue her legal team because how the hell, right? And the fact that they settled on this in mediation and didn't take it to trial, I would not settle on this kind of a deal. Absolutely freaking not. She got screwed so hardcore. But maybe she was at a point in her life where she just wanted to be rid of this man, at any given price, right? Like whatever it takes to get this man out of my life, let's do it, right? Or maybe continuing to fight would rack up more lawyers' fees for her, which would mean that at the end of the day, even if she got to keep more things in the cost of lawyer fees, it would even out, if not, come up to even less. I'm not sure, right? Raven says, Kenley said a few months ago that David didn't want anything when people were telling her Janelle paid for it all. Well, that's a lie. Oh, come on. And Kenley, please don't be the next one to go and marry this man because you are going to suffer the exact same financial fate. And you know what? Probably the same emotional fate, probably the same physical fate as well. I still do not understand why that woman decided to entangle herself in David Eason's web. Absolutely insane, right? Like, and again, getting having your partner, your spouse, your husband, whatever, being a stay-at-home dad is great. But David, shouldn't you find somebody who would be a great at the role? Like, that's so crazy to me, right? I just do not understand, right? And you know what? This is a good call, Gwen. She should write a book, and please let it be better than her other book. Again, we're reading this with my channel members, and channel members, you can confirm, right? It is a painful read. It's the read between the lines. It's so poorly formatted. She's got her diaries in it, but half the diary entries are barely even legible. It's so freaking bad. Honestly, Winnie the Cat says Canal in her little video bragging about taking some of the kids' Christmas birthday presents was just peak. Oh God, listen, she's laughing now, but she's not going to be laughing for long. And because Canal is such a fan and she's so addicted to the spotlight, at least we know that when ish hits the fan, she's going to be coming out and talking about it. So thank God for that at the very least. Bree says, honestly, she's so dumb to be fighting her for the land. I agree. Honestly, good freaking luck to Janelle and David. And again, Janelle, please sue your lawyers because it is absolutely insane that you got screwed so hard in your divorce settlement. Like I do not get it. David could barely even get a lawyer because he didn't have money. He was squatting on her boat, yet somehow his legal team absolutely obliterated. And I mean, truly, truly obliterated Janelle's legal team. Can I ask y'all what you think the secret is? So I think that finally what he did was he got a lawyer on contingency. So now the payments that Janelle has to make towards the $33K cash that she owes him, they go through David's legal team. So I guess they skim a little off the top before transferring it to him so that they're guaranteed to have their money back or something like that. But damn, like I'm truly impressed, but like not in the good way. I'm impressed, like, damn, like that's crazy. You know, maybe Janelle should have found one of those types of lawyers. Maybe she should like get, friendly with them for her next divorce. Cause y'all know our girl's going to be getting married again, right? Which means you also know that our girl's going to be getting divorced again, right? Is that rude? It might be. Yeah, it might be. But is it true? Yeah.